So now let's talk about polymorphism. Polymorphism is the ability for one class to be represented as another class. So for example, a car is an automobile object, technically. It's just a more specific kind. It is a subclass of automobile. So let's say we wanted to create an array list of cars. We could do that. And then we could populate this list with car objects. So inside of our for loop, we could actually just say list.add, and then in the parentheses we could say new car. And then we could fill in all of our data. And let's make them all the same car, just for the sake of simplicity. So let's comment all this out, and if we were to display our list, let's print out the make and then the model, and then put a spacer. We run it and we get a bunch of Dodge Rams, which is what we expected. Also, I know a Dodge Ram is technically a truck, but we're just going to pretend that trucks refer to big semi-trucks. But now what if we wanted to store a motorcycle in this list? Well, would we be able to? If we said list.add new motorcycle, and then passed in all of this data, so the number of wheels, the year, make, model, color, and whether or not it has a sidecar. So it has 2 wheels. So we'll say the Suzuki Intruder, and we'll say it's blue, and it does not have a sidecar. So it looks like we can't add a motorcycle to our list, because the method add car in the type array list is not applicable for the argument of motorcycle. So we can't add a motorcycle to our list of cars. However, a motorcycle and a car are both automobiles. So theoretically, if we change this to a list of automobiles, now suddenly we can add this. But now look, we have an error that says type mismatch cannot convert from element type automobile to car. So when we made our for each loop, we were looping through cars, but now it's an automobile, so this needs to change. And there we go. So now let's run it. So we get a bunch of Dodge Rams, and then all the way at the end we get our Suzuki Intruder. So it worked. So now we're successfully storing all of these cars and motorcycles and referring to them as automobiles. So now what if we wanted to print out this specific information, whether or not it has a sunroof or whether or not it has a sidecar? We need to check what kind of class or what kind of object each of the automobiles are when we do our for each loop. So for example, if we just said sysout a.has sunroof, as you can see, it doesn't work because has sunroof is not a field in the automobile class. So what we have to do is check the class of this object A that we've created, this variable A. So we have to use a keyword called instance of. So if A instance of car, then this just means if A is of the type car, because we already know it's an automobile, but if it's also a car, then we can do something called casting. So we're going to cast A as a car. So we're going to tell Java, hey, I know this is an automobile, but it's also technically a car, so I'm going to start referring to it as a car in the next few lines of code. So I'm going to create a new temporary variable. I'm going to call it C for car, and I'm going to set it equal to A. However, this doesn't work because an automobile is not a car. So what we need to do is add cast. You can see it's this first line right here. And all that does is just put the new class type right in front of the old variable. So now we can say sysout c.has sunroof. And now this just checks if it's a car, so we can copy this and do another one for whether or not it's a motorcycle. And actually we're going to change this false to a true. So now all of our Dodge Rams will have a sunroof. And now let's run this. Now we've printed out Dodge Ram, so that's our make and model of the cars that we added, and now they all have sunroofs. And the Suzuki Intruder does not have a sidecar. So now we've successfully gone through our list of automobiles and casted them properly as cars and motorcycle objects. There's a lot more to cover with polymorphism, but I think I'll save that for another video, because this is definitely a lot to take in. There's a lot to process here, so I don't want to overload you with too much information just yet, but I think it'd be a good idea to practice writing classes, creating objects, and even doing a little bit of inheritance and subclassing, so you can get the basics down of what does it mean to inherit fields and methods. So that's going to do it for this video. Tune in next time where we're going to talk about the toString method in a class.